The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. It's 10 minutes past 10 on the 1st of February. It's Wednesday, of course, and so we're joined in the studio by one of our beautiful guests from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. And this morning we're joined by Libby. Good morning to you, Libby.
Good morning.
Is it hot enough for you out at Dooralong?
Oh, it has been pretty warm, yeah.
Yeah, because you're in a bit of a heat trap out there, aren't you, in the valley?
We are.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an isolated place. It's beautiful, though.
Oh, it's beautiful, but
Absolutely
I'm thinking
beautiful.
yesterday would have been really hot.
It was.
Yeah. And there's no relief out there. You've got air conditioning in the cabins?
We do have air conditioning, so there is a bit of relief.
There's a bit of relief,
Yeah.
but yeah. Oh, well, today will be much easier for you, I think.
It's a lot nicer today.
It's 21, isn't it? I can
handle that.
21. Yeah, make the most of it. The heat's coming back.
Yay.
So, how long have you been at Dooralong, Libby?
8 months tomorrow.
8 months tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yes.
is that nearing the end of your stay at Dooralong, or middle?
It is. I'm graduating in 2 weeks.
Oh, you must be excited about that.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got,
Bittersweet.
yeah,
Very bittersweet.
because it's been such a good place for you, hasn't it?
It has. I owe my life to
Wow.
this place.
And you say that literally.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
It saved your life.
absolutely.
It's
The
amazing,
people,
isn't it?
yeah, the people in it and the people I have around me.
Yeah,
It's all because of them
all because of them.
and my higher power.
Yeah. Well, and look, we are so grateful that your life has been saved, because you're sitting here. I think Mick on the breakfast show said that you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So
Apparently. Coffee
so,
helps.
the caffeine fix.
Yes.
Look, we don't want to dwell on it, and we will talk about the more hopeful aspects, and we'll talk about your plans for the future later. But I suppose we've got to turn the clocks back to when it all started to go wrong for you. So you were telling me just a little while ago off that your addiction is alcohol.
It was all depressants.
All
really?
depressants.
Yeah, opiates, but for the last 10 years, for the longer time, it was alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot easier to get.
A lot easier to get.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Why? Why were you drinking? Why were you trying to numb something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, to continue numbing. Yeah.
To continue numbing. What was it that you were trying to blot out?
Do you know what? Like I said, feelings of a lack of self-worth.
Lack of self-worth.
Lack of self-worth. Fear. I didn't know what I was afraid of, but it turns out I was afraid of everything.
Is that right?
Yeah, afraid of life. I could not do life.
Where do you think the lack of self-worth and the not liking yourself comes from? It's a hard question, isn't it?
It is a hard question, and a lot of counselling has helped me with that.
Yeah.
Things that happened in my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you are. You find yourself not liking yourself.
Absolutely.
And
Never fit in. I always felt there was an unease. No matter where I went, I just felt different.
Always the outsider looking in.
There was just something that didn't sit right with me, and I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And I think
And this wasn't just as a child. This was as a young adult as well.
Absolutely. For as long as I can remember. For as long as I can remember, I always felt that way. And I didn't realise at the time, but looking back on it, the first time that I tried bourbon, my first drink, it was the missing piece of the puzzle. It was, as I've heard them say in the rooms, it was the answer to the question I didn't know I was asking.
So it was the answer, in that it made you. Did it make you like yourself, or just forget whether you liked yourself or not?
It filled me with Dutch courage.
Yeah. That's right. We've spoken to other people who have had problems with alcohol, and they felt again like they didn't fit in. And it's like when you go to a party, you sometimes say, I need a drink to sort of, to be able to act more competently in a social situation.
It gave me confidence.
Gave you confidence. Yeah. But it didn't stop at the one drink for you.
It was progressive, This was 15 when I first tried alcohol.
Wow.
And, it didn't happen overnight, but it progressed. And within a few years, I was relying on other substances as well.
Were you holding down a job?
Yes. Yeah, I've worked pretty much up until just before the pregnancy with my daughter. So that was, she's almost 8. But no, I'd always worked from 15
And
onwards.
did those around you, those that you loved and those that loved you, did they think, oh, something's happening with Libby, she's on something, we're not sure, or she's,
I'm sure they did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nobody say anything?
I'm sure they did, but I just either chose to not listen or I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to change. I wasn't ready to acknowledge it. And I mean, I've been in denial for a really, really long time. And I had to come to that decision myself. I couldn't be forced into it.
And I suppose as much as we may sort of disapprove of taking alcohol to that extreme, it was actually fulfilling a need. It was actually, it was a coping strategy.
Yeah, it wasn't a very healthy one.
It wasn't a healthy one.
No, it wasn't. It's very damaging to
there were
every aspect of me.
There would have been healthier things you could have done, but
yes.
But you as you said, it's all pervasive in our society, isn't it? It's easily available.
It's everywhere, and the price of my freedom is eternal vigilance.
Yeah. And also, it's, to some extent, well, to a large extent, it's socially acceptable, isn't it? It's okay to go to the pub and have a drink. It's okay to have a glass of wine.
For the majority of people, it's not for me.
No.
And I've accepted that.
Because it doesn't stop at the one glass of wine.
It never stops.
So you were holding down a job. Were you able to keep it from your employer?
Oh, yeah, they had no idea.
No idea at all?
No idea at all,
yeah.
No. Or for the last job I had, they probably did have an idea, but they never confronted me about it. So I did my job competently.
So what would a day look like for you? Were you drinking of a morning?
No, never. So not until the last few months before I came into Dooralong. Before that, it slowly got earlier and earlier in the day, but
earlier and earlier and more, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And could you see the toll it was having on your family? You mentioned you've got kids.
Yes, I do. I could, and it was the hardest thing for me to know what I was doing was wrong, but not be able to have that strength to change it, to do something about it. It was that powerful. It had me in its grips.
Yeah, that'd be a real dilemma, wouldn't it? That would be a really scary place. Desperately loving your kids, but desperately feeling the need for a drink as well. And a drink is an addiction. It is so strong.
It's extremely powerful. It's cunning, it's baffling, it's powerful.
Yeah. So, what happened for you eventually to say, Libby, this has got to stop?
So my intoxication had certain consequences that impacted other people, and there was some legal issues, and I won't go into the situation.
No, that's okay.
But I was there was a situation where it was confronted to me that I had a major issue. Other people finally confronted me about it, and I was put on the spot, and the relief was overwhelming because they were, they reached out and they said to me, you really need help, and I said, I know I do, and so they made the phone calls for me.
Do you wish they had done that earlier?
Oh, many times I wish I had been in this situation earlier, but who knows if I would have gotten it then.
So I suppose if there's anybody out there who's living with somebody who's dependent on alcohol, an alcoholic, wondering whether to confront that person, wondering whether to challenge that person, what would your advice be?
That's a really hard one because I can only speak for myself. Sometimes when I was confronted with it, I just pushed them away because I knew, but I wasn't ready to acknowledge it. Or even when I did acknowledge it, I wasn't ready to do something about it. And I've seen and experienced that unless that person is there for themselves, then the likelihood of them finding continuing recovery the chances are a lot less if they're doing it for somebody else. If you love somebody, then, you know, let them know how you're feeling and what you see. And maybe that might be the thing that they need to hear to go, wow, it's not just me I'm impacting. It is, you know, this does have a massive effect on other people as well. And just knowing that, you know, there are people there that are willing to listen. And then if they say, yes, can you please help me, then, you know, go from there.
And at the very least, even if that person isn't ready, they will know that there are people around them who love and care for them and are going to be there for them.
And there's a lot of people in Dooralong that weren't even aware that, you know, places like that existed before they were brought in. You know, I've been aware of detoxes and rehabs for a while, but there's not enough awareness of it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, but from what you're saying, it's perhaps some truth to it. One of the cliches is you've got to hit rock bottom. You've really got to want to change. The timing is all important here. It's got to be, I'm doing this for me, not for anybody else.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. They say it's the gift of desperation.
Wow.
And if you really,
the gift of desperation. It's a gift to be desperate, because it's only then that you're going to reach out.
Yeah. When you're down on your knees, there's only one place you can go, and that's up.
Yeah. Or sadly for some people.
Unfortunately, yes. That's the reality of this disease.
It is, and it's a disease, isn't it? Hey, look, Libby, we're gonna break for some music. Look, if we've touched upon issues that have affected you and you feel you need to talk to somebody, don't forget, and we always say this, don't forget our friends at Lifeline are there. You can phone them free on mobiles. It's 13 11 14. And if you'd like to send a message to us, you can do that now. Mick on the Brecky Show, he's one of our tech heads. He's arranging a bit of a new gizmo here. If you want to send us a message, if you want to send Libby a message, you can easily do that. You just send a message on 0401 949 949. How easy is that? That's our wavelength, isn't it? 0401 949 949. So if you want to send us a message, that's the number to do that on. And we're back. We are back talking to Libby this morning, our guest from Dooralong Transformation Centre. Libby has been sharing her life's journey with us. And you mentioned a great phrase, and it's really struck a chord with me, that gift of desperation that you talked about. It's only when you're really, really desperate that you accept the help. So being desperate, to some extent, it is a gift, isn't it?
It was for me.
It was for you. So there you are, you're desperate. How do you find help?
Well, like I said, for me, it came to me, and I finally, grabbed it. I went into Lakeview Detox, and I'd been there before, and I'd only ever done like the week or so physical detox, and they have information about long-term, facilities there.
Yeah, because a week detox isn't going to do it, is it? Because you go straight back out, and the addiction is still there.
That's right.
You might be detoxified, but the addiction is still there.
Physically, you may be feeling better, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, I was still broken.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed more. I knew I needed to do a lot more work on myself. And so this time I just, I said I need to do this for me, for the kids, for everybody. So I went on the waiting list, and I went in early June, and
you mentioned there again your kids. Where did you tell your kids you were going?
I told them the truth.
Yeah. How old are they now?
12 and 7.
Oh, so the 12-year-old will have some understanding of this.
He has, too much understanding of what is
Too much understanding. He's not going to be a drinker, is he then?
I can't say. I have faith that he won't. But if, whatever life throws at us, I need to have the strength to be there for both of them. And, coming from a place of experience, hopefully I can just, love him and help.
So you told them that Mum wasn't well and she was going to a place to get better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so you turn up at Dooralong one bright sunny morning. I'm sure you pick up the coach or the bus down at the Oasis Centre. Is that how it works?
Yeah, usually my dad drove me down there.
Your dad drove you down there, yeah. And that first week we've learned from talking to other guests, it's a real hard week, isn't it?
Oh, it's It's a huge change, being thrown into this environment. Not only is, the location different, you're not at home or where you were, you're not in isolation anymore. There's 150 other characters, walking around and
you still got the addiction at that stage, haven't you? How do you manage that? Because you're not locked up. You could easily walk out or ring your dad, ring anybody. Yeah,
I could have done that at any time, but I'd made a commitment. I couldn't go back. And at the beginning, even though I felt still physically sick, it took me a while to get better. I couldn't, because I would have been letting everybody down again. I would have been letting myself down. And we've been, we're kind of planning and working towards this for a long time. This was a goal of mine. I'd committed myself to do it for me and my babies. And, I didn't want to go home. I wanted to be there. I wanted to get well. Yeah.
So, what sort of work? We've heard some of our guests talking about the various programs that they have down there. We've never really done any digging around those. They talk about the Bridge program.
Yes.
Tell us what is the Bridge program?
Okay. Well, my knowledge of the Bridge program is it's over 50 years old, and it's where we are, it's 12 steps based, which is the 12 steps of Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous. Spiritual foundation, spiritual program. The Bridge program was also, very involved in behaviours.
Yeah.
And learning about, your upbringing, your family systems, just different characteristics.
Boundaries and all this sort of
everything,
business.
Assertiveness, grief. You cover so much.
And it's sort of, it has some academic rigour to it. It's not just something that an amateur sort of.
No. It's in conjunction with Wollongong University. So the literature is amazing. You know, I've learned so much about myself in the last 8 months.
So they're peeling away all those layers and trying to get, as far as you, Libby, are concerned, trying to find out what it was that made you turn to drink, where that feeling of low self-esteem, feeling of no worth, trying to find out where that. We're not asking you to share that with us, but that's the aim of the object.
Yes, definitely.
Object of the exercise.
Yeah. That self-awareness, and it was so confronting, but at the same time it was so reassuring. It's like, oh wow, I'm not alone. Oh wow, this is normal. I'm just human.
And they've got professional counsellors and psychologists and therapists.
Yeah, you have caseworkers, and there's a couple of psychologists out there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did that go for you?
For me, well, I'm 8 months clean and sober.
8 months clean and sober.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
We always ask our guests as well how the God thing of Dooralong sits with them. How does that sit with you?
Well, I was an agnostic coming in. I was actually introduced to the rooms of AA, say 9 years ago, and I really struggled with the God thing.
Yeah.
The word, I just couldn't get past it. But coming into Dooralong, I was so broken that I just had my hands up saying, I will do whatever you tell me to do. And I was open to the fact that, the Christians that I've known in my life before are just beautiful people, beautiful souls. And I admired that, and I envied that a bit. I wished I wished I could have that faith. And so coming in and seeing the workers that, they don't do it for the pay, they do it for the love. And my relationship with my higher power is growing every day, and I work on developing that, and it's my strength.
So you enjoy chapel and the Bible study groups and the discussion groups?
I do enjoy chapel. It was different, but now I do. I enjoy it. I love the message. I love hearing the message.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's chapel night tonight, isn't it?
It is
Wednesday.
chapel night. Yes.
And you always have a roast.
We do.
Did you have a roast last week? It was stinking hot last week.
Yes, cannot change the menu.
Cannot change your menu, so it's 38 degrees outside and you're all sat down for a roast.
Yes, we did.
Oh, well, it'll be a little bit easier for you tonight, a little bit cooler.
Shall be.
Yeah. So the God thing is it's like the Bible says, seeds have been planted and they are growing, but that's a work in progress for you. But the look on your face and the smile on your face says that's good.
Yes.
You're enjoying that side of things.
Growth is amazing.
Yeah. And how's relations with your kids and the rest of your family now?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've enjoyed them? Oh, I'm sorry if this sounds so brutal. Is this the first time you've enjoyed them sober?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It's new. It's all new, and it's seeing, actually not just being there physically, but listening to them. You know, paying attention and seeing them respond positively to that. It's all I can ask for.
And they must be equally sort of excited that this is it's not just for you the first time you're seeing them sober. This is the first time they're seeing their mum sober.
Yeah.
Here's a mum who actually listens and asks and wants to have some fun and be involved in our lives.
Yeah, they do. They love it.
Yeah. We're going to break for some music in a little while, then we'll come back and talk about the future. Before we do, you've been at Dooralong 8 months now, haven't you? Like, what do you think about these? Sometimes you see these football players, don't you, or sports people in general, who sort of put their hands up to some sort of addiction, and then they sort of go off to Thailand for a month, and then they come back and they say they're cured. You know, look, we're not professionals, but what's your take on that?
Well, firstly, I believe that addiction is kind of like cancer. You can't be cured. You can be in remission. It's a daily reprieve, but you need to work on that every single... I know. I can only speak for myself. Yeah. I know that I need to wake up every morning and admit that I'm powerless over this. And like I said before, you know, the price of my freedom is eternal vigilance.
Yes.
And then I say my third step prayer, which is handing my life and my will over to the care of God.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, you know, that was working so far. But as far as I know for myself, you know, I was only just kind of waking up and getting a little bit of clarity after that long, you know, 4 weeks.
To do a detox and a rehab in 4 weeks.
No, I needed this time. I needed this amount of time to learn my behaviours.
Yeah.
And learn who I am and how I function, how I work, and what this disease is all about.
Yeah, it's interesting. And hey, look, we're not knocking what they do, because I'm sure that when they do come back after the trip to Thailand, I'm sure they've got psychologists and counsellors around, and I'm sure their treatment continues. But it is interesting to get your take on that. But we're going to break for some more music, and then we're going to come back and continue talking to Libby. We're back talking to Libby this morning. It's just gone 20 to 11. And what we want to do now, Libby, is sort of look to the future, really. You were telling me that you just spent a good number of days with your children.
Yes, I did. Yeah, my son started high school on Monday, and there was no way I wasn't going to be there for that.
Yeah. How's he feeling about that?
He was
anxious.
Oh, that's an understatement. But just having me home, I think, you know, reassured him. And I spoke to him on Monday afternoon. I said, "How'd you go, darling?" And he said, "Yeah, it was good. It was fun." I said, "Are you excited about tomorrow?" And he's like, "Well, no, but I feel a bit more confident going."
Yeah. All right.
So that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been at Dooralong now for 8 months. As you were saying right at the outset, you're graduating soon?
Yes, I am.
Super. And then what? What's next for Libby?
And then I'm going home, and I will...
Oh, I'm interrupting you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who's looking after the kids while all this is happening?
My parents.
Ah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got a good relationship with Mum and Dad?
Yes, I do.
And the kids?
Yes.
And Mum and Dad have been there for you, looking after the kids for the last 8 months?
Yeah, it was a huge thing for them to do.
Yeah. I'm sure they've enjoyed it, but it would have been hard for them as well. Challenging, that's
yes.
the word, isn't it? We don't have problems, we have challenges.
That's right.
Yeah.
But no, they've done an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
You've got a really loving and supportive family around you, haven't you?
Yeah, very much.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You were telling me what you were going to do in the future. Well,
yes, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to establish myself at local meetings. I love the fellowship.
Local meetings of?
AA and NA.
Yep.
And I'm going to look for some part-time work. And once I found my footing and re-established myself at home, and you know, my children and I are in a routine again, then I'll consider, you know, what I would like to study, because I would like to have a passion and a purpose in life.
So it sounds as if you're very sensibly going to take this one step at a time.
Yes, slow and steady.
Small steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Still learning how to live again.
Yeah.
So I've got to keep it simple.
And your relationship with God, looking to the future, is God always going to be in your life?
Yes, He is.
Yes, He is.
Strengthens every day.
Strengthens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's super, isn't it? So after how many years of addiction?
Every day, I'd say 18.
Since the age of 18?
Yeah.
So since you were a teenager?
Yeah.
Apart from this last 8 months, every day has had addiction in it? It's
had some kind of one substance or another, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's it like to see the world through, you know,
it's not
a clear
scary.
mind?
It's not as scary.
It's not as scary as you thought it was going to be.
No, fear stopped me from living my life.
Yeah.
And I held the fear, so now I've let go of the fear. The world is my oyster.
And if there's anybody out there who's struggling with addiction, your advice would be?
Admitting to myself and wanting to change. Wanting it.
Yeah, it's like you were saying earlier on, isn't it? It's time is everything. You've got to want to do it. You've got to be in that place where I want to do this. And it might be for the kids, it might be for parents, and it could just be for yourself, but you've got to want it.
I you know, for a long time I justified why I didn't need to get help, because, you know, my kids were too young, they needed me. You know, there's nobody to look after them. What would I do? And when I looked at this option of being away from them to up to 10 months, I thought, I can't be away from them for that long. And then when I thought about it, I thought, well, you know, Libby, if you don't, you know, you'll be dead in a few years' time, and you won't be there for them forever. So 10 months, it was nothing out of the rest of my life if I can be, you know, the mum that they deserve and the woman that I deserve to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Libby, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to speak to you this morning. We thank you for coming in and sharing your journey with us. And as always, we just pray God's presence in your life, His everlasting presence and His sort of hand on your shoulder as you graduate. And it can be an anxious time, I would imagine, stepping out of that lovely bubble that you've been in for the last 8 months. But we know that God's got His hand on your shoulder, and it's a protective hand and a reassuring hand, and He'll take good care of you.
Thank you, Phil.
You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Dooralong stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 rema.cc.